Welcome to the Intercut podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he's as cuddly as a cactus, as charming as an eel. It's Arturo Zurita.
Thank you, guys. I'm acting like there's a whole crowd just waiting to hear.
Thank you.
The intros to everything over here. Thanksgiving weekend, recording this, so be it maybe Thanksgiving, maybe the Friday, depending on how hectic things get. Happy Thanksgiving, I guess, to all of the Intercut viewers. This is episode 45?
Yeah, 45.
Have we crossed the year? Because I know there's been some weeks that we haven't done it, so I want to say we've already
we've been doing this for a little bit over a year. I haven't gotten to that 52, 53 week mark, but maybe we'll celebrate it at episode 50 or something. I don't know.
Hey, maybe one day we'll meet.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually
one day
sit down and podcast together.
No, I'm excited to be here. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving weekend, so there's like a bunch of stuff going on.
Holidays,
I'm going to be heading over to the East Coast very soon, so there's that also that's coming up. But there's just a bunch of movies. That's the thing. You know, like usually you get your schedule set for Thursdays. You know, Thursdays is movie night. Mm-hmm. And then Thanksgiving comes around, they're like, nah, it's Tuesday. And it's like, okay, well, now I got to adjust that. Yo, Netflix, why are you coming out with 10? Amazon Prime, now you want to play. So there's so many things that are coming out, just trying to keep up with it. Today, as of the recording, I tweeted out as well, is also the year anniversary for Let Me Explain. So it's just been boom, 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 a bunch of things. But no, here on the Intercut, we're excited because we also got a lot of a segment that we've teased a little bit.
Right.
But we want to bring it on full blast, so.
Yeah, so we've talked about doing the interview segment. I believe we've technically used the title card once. Mm-hmm. We're getting to it on this week's show, plugging it at the beginning of the show to let you know that if you want a question asked on a future episode of Intercut, please leave it in the comments down below or get to us on social media. If you don't know, our social media is at IntercutPod. You can find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Normally we save all that for the end, but I'm getting it here early to make sure you know. Leave us a question. Help us know what you want to hear us talk about on the show in the upcoming weeks. Anyway, though, we'll get into it in a little bit. We'll talk about the Independent Spirit Awards and some other movie news updates, including Aquaman Twitter bots. But first, we start the way we start every week here on the Intercut podcast with what we're watching. Art, what have you been watching?
I want to say it was supposed to be the biggest release. Ironically, it wasn't, but the biggest release for topic of the week. Widows, I guess, should we mention it? I just want to say Widows.
We're going to do an after credits on it, so we'll do more extended thoughts, including spoilers, but we won't spoil anything here.
In case you miss it, I mean, I ain't got much to say. I'm going to say it for that. I just want to mention Widows because ain't nobody watching Widows. Yeah,
that's a shame that it kind of got drowned out. But, you know, there's a lot of big, splashy movies out right now, and Widows...
I guess
it's just as entertaining as them, but I don't know if it's gotten like the star appeal.
You know, I blamed the marketing. I blamed the marketing.
Yeah.
And now it seems like people are also saying that it probably was the marketing as well. And I was like, well, that's what I had said. Yeah. So other than that, I want to say the two movies that I saw were all at home. Cam surprised me. I was looking up some screenings to it when I was gonna head over to New York, and everyone was like, "Oh, Cam's gonna be like the big one. It's coming out. We're gonna have it." I was like, "What? That's all dope." I didn't even hear about this story. It's the story of this Cam girl who ends up like someone hacks her account, and it.
Yeah, this is a Netflix
I don't know what the trailer is.
Horror.
It ends up being a Netflix original. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see this in New York. This is why I'm going to New York for, to catch these movies. Oh, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix the following week, and so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I don't have to go over there. I liked it a lot. Awesome. I think the whole thing is a fantastic thriller. It kept me at the edge of my bed. I was watching it from my bed. I was like, this is really good. And even the ending, I can definitely see it being one of those that people watch it, you know, like Netflix is known for. Man, this has me. It's interested that, of course, it's a Netflix original. The ending just never lands. I think it lands. I think it lands because of the metaphors. I can see those. That is in the movie, especially the way that it relates to YouTube. And that it relates to a bunch of other social media, and I think it's very interesting. So that's one that I highly recommend. Again, even if the ending doesn't work for you, it being a Netflix...
Yeah, Cam being a movie, like you said, it's about a cam girl, and I'm assuming a lot of it takes place online or something like that. How would you compare it to Unfriended or your favorite from earlier this year, Searching?
Oh, well, you know, Searching is a fantastic movie. But
yeah, not necessarily in terms of quality, but in terms of feel.
If Searching was like a parental movie about using social media to show you how distant or how close you can actually get to your child, Unfriended is just complete and utter trash. Then there is also this one that shows you the addiction to social media fame. What people do to just go trend. Like, the whole time I'm saying this, I'm like, I'm not a cam girl, or at least you guys will never find out unless you're a supporter of whatever the cam girl site would be. It's like, put yourself in the position of a YouTuber and like what they do to get views, because the whole thing is like she's trying to get #1 so bad,
Right.
and she almost becomes a different person. If you've seen the movie, you kind of start getting it. I liked it. I thought it was interesting in that perspective, because it starts getting to a territory where it's like, is this all in her head? Is it not in her head? Is this going on? Is this getting into unfriended territory in a sense? I think it pays off a lot better than those other movies did. So that was one that you haven't checked it out yet?
No, I haven't.
I highly recommend it. I think it's good. And like I said, it's on Netflix as well,
Very
along
cool.
with another one that was recommended on this show. And while I personally think the middle medals out a lot, I do like me some anthology stories. I thought the beginning had one of the craziest shots of the year.
Yeah.
Not even with the hat. The table scene caught
No.
me so
I knew
off
which
guard.
exactly what you were talking about.
I rewinded that 3 times.
Yeah,
like,
the heel on the
I
table.
said, this man did not come to play.
Yeah. And he does it all with a smile on his face.
And they
Singing
do
the
it
Ballad.
with a super wide shot. And he doesn't do it once, he does it 3 times, and I'm like, okay, I feel that. I like the second one with James Franco.
That one's great too.
My girlfriend kept telling me, it's like, that's James Franco. I was like, that's not James Franco. That's not James Franco. Takes off the I said, that's James Franco. What was the third one?
The third one was my least favorite, Meal Ticket with Liam Neeson.
So the third one, and I think the fourth one was the one that you said you liked, the one with Tom Waits.
Yes.
Waiting is what he did a lot. It starts doing that for a majority of the ones after the second one, where it's over and over. You see this guy's position, he's hunting for goat. We're going to show you that for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This person does shows with was it his brother or person who he carries around? Bro, it was
Yeah.
Neville. It was Neville Longbottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
My girlfriend pointed that out because we had just binged all the Harry Potter ones for the first time. And I was like, yo, that's finally getting what he deserves. There you go.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of the anthology ones after the second one was just a bunch of like, this is this person's setting for 10 minutes. And then we give you like a sort of payoff. The Tom Waits one I thought dragged, but then they give you that sort of payoff. What was the fourth one?
The fourth was the Tom
the fifth
Waits.
one.
The fifth was the one with Zoe Kazan. And then
Is that
the sixth
the one everyone's
was,
talking, the sad one?
Yeah. And then the sixth
guess.
one was the carriage to the... with
Something,
Brendan
yes.
Gleeson.
Yeah. Again, I think all the ones at the end, like, they put you in a position where I'm not going to say that the entirety of it is interesting, but the last, like, minute or two, they hit you with something.
The pacing of almost all of these, I'd say, except for, like you said, the first two, is this is the world, this is this character, this is methodically how they live their lives, and then they do this really interesting thing with the last, like, 2 to 3 minutes of each story. That for me, I think every single story worked really well at the end. I didn't enjoy Meal Ticket, and I didn't really enjoy some of the carriage ride one, but...
Why didn't you enjoy the Meal Ticket one?
I mean, it's repetitive, like you were saying.
So why the Tom Waits one, but not the Meal Ticket one?
I found his process to be more interesting. Maybe it's also I just found him as a character to be more interesting. The way he talked to himself, he's got that really gravelly voice. I happen to like Tom Waits as a singer, so I'd maybe bring that to the table too. But you know, there's definitely the most going on in the James Franco one and in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs one. Yeah. I thought that hanging joke at the end of James Franco's one was one of my favorite jokes of all the whole year.
What was the joke?
First time?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
I was laughing at the dude coming out with the tin can pans.
Yeah, Pot
so
Shot.
Dumb. Yeah.
Stephen Root. Yeah, he's a great underrated actor.
But no, I agreed with you when you said that the rumors that it was supposed to be a show because they were in talks with Annapurna Television, and then they were like, I was never a show. It was an anthology that we wanted to make it into a movie, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it works because if I'm talking about like, oh man, yeah, this one bit dragged on a bit. The ending was worth, but it dragged on a bit. I'd rather it drag the 10 minutes than can you imagine that have been the episode? Oh no. Right. So at that point I was just like, I'm not gonna be that person who, this would have worked better as a miniseries than it is the miniseries. This would have worked better as a feature film. At the end of it, I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was that all of them at least hit something. All 6 of them hit something. You said that there was a bigger connection, or maybe I was mistaken.
I said there isn't a bigger connection, so maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I misheard you, so I was waiting for one.
The main thing is really, it's just like, it's that Coen Brothers style. It's that very matter-of-fact way that the characters carry themselves. The really, like, stark depiction of violence, like you mentioned, with that one shot with the stomping on the table. Like, when Coen Brothers show you violence, it comes quick and it's brutal, and it's funny in the way that it's just sudden and unexpected. Like, you almost don't want to laugh, but you kind of have to. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this. This is actually one of the ones that I've been watching too over the past week. I put it on having seen it already. I gotta say, it's a really fun movie to have on when you've already seen it. Like, I was kind of getting my morning chores done and popping in and catching my favorite little bits. So I would highly recommend it also in that capacity too. But yeah, it's a very fun movie, especially those first couple bits. So I hope people check out the new Coen Brothers.
Did you catch anything else?
I actually just mostly did rewatching this weekend. I rewatched a movie that I saw a couple of years ago at Tribeca Film Festival called Manifesto. It's on Amazon Prime now. It's an interesting experimental art kind of film. It's Cate Blanchett playing 13 different roles.
Oh, I never caught this one. Yeah,
it's on Amazon Prime now. So what's kind of interesting is, like, first of all, it's Cate Blanchett being a chameleon the way that few actors are capable of. She has these 13 or 14 different roles, and you really can't. There's so little that connects them. She's just inhabiting these people, whether it's like a bum in Eastern Europe, or a Russian scientist, or a teacher, or a ballet instructor. It's really, really cool to just see her range as an actress. But the actual substance of the material, it may feel a little bit pretentious, it may feel a little bit like overly intellectual. But when you kind of figure out what it is, or at least if you read enough to know what it is, it makes a little more sense in that she's just basically reading different artist manifestos from over the years, whether it's like the Dogma 95 manifesto from Lars von Trier, or whether it's Karl Marx's artist manifesto. It's just a bunch of different artistic manifestos, different thinkers through the years writing down what they think art needs to do or how it should work. So it's really like, there's not really plot here. It's just a bunch of dramatic readings of how intellectuals think art should be absorbed. But if that's the kind of thing that, for me, I'm not going to sit down and read all of these manifestos. I enjoy getting a dramatic reading of it from one of our best actors, and it's also a very gorgeously shot film. It's very pretty, so I think it's engaging. I think it's worthwhile. If you are 10 minutes into it and you're absolutely hating it, you're not going to start enjoying it. Nah, but you know, it's definitely different than what most people are used to, and now that it's available on Amazon, hopefully some people can catch up with it.
It's like a visual audio book.
Yeah, in a way. It's just a bunch of scenes. I mean, so the way that it was originally shown, I believe, was in a kind of warehouse setting with 13 or 14 different screens that each held the different characters. So it's like you're kind of going between
these
different
art
people.
Exhibit.
Yeah, it's an art exhibit. It's an art film. It's not a feature narrative or anything like that.
Okay, we're getting fancy with this. So it's a bunch of vignettes just put together.
Yeah.
You got to pick though. Cate Blanchett, or your what's her name? We just did the 3 for Suspiria.
Oh, Tilda?
Who we picking? Because I've had the debate for a little bit. Tilda or Kate? Tilda or Kate? Yeah. I've been wondering. I was like, which between the two? I don't know. I think both of these two are in competitions for best, not actors. of our generation right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say that I think Tilda has had fewer amazing opportunities. Like, Blanchett gets really interesting lead roles in movies.
Bro,
like
she was Bob
Jasmine
Dylan.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we see Tilda get those opportunities as much, but I don't know if I like any Cate Blanchett performance as much as I like Tilda Swinton and Michael Clayton.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
She won for Michael?
Yes, she won for Michael.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what we've been watching. Let us know what you've been watching down in the comments below. We're going to move on to Yay or Nay, where we talk about the latest happenings in the entertainment industry, starting with the 2019 Independent Spirit Awards announced their nominations last week, with 8th Grade, First Reformed, If Beale Street Could Talk, Leave No Trace, and You Were Never Really Here snagging the Best Feature nominations. We the Animals led all films with its 5 nominations, while both 8th Grade and First Reformed scored 4 nominations of their own. So, Art, yay or nay, this year's crop of Indie Spirit nominees will be better than this year's crop of Oscar nominees?
Maybe. I think so. Read me the
So the best feature
ones.
nominees are 8th Grade, First Reformed, If Beale Street Could Talk, Leave No Trace, and You Were Never Really Here.
I like them all. What about the acting ones? I don't know if you have those up, because I remember when this was breaking out and a bunch of people were like hyping it up. And the Indie Awards are always like, they're some of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, they end up going
like even
to
the ceremony
a lot of,
itself.
They end up going to a lot more interesting, kind of quirky films. I think the thing with the Oscars is now there's not a whole lot of movies that are unknown that end up being.
Who has the biggest campaign? Oh,
right.
Good Time. Right. We heard the buzz. I mean, we're in the industry, but
yeah,
y'all didn't throw a cocktail party for us, so you're not getting a nomination.
So here are the female leads. It's Glenn Close for The Wife, Toni Collette for Hereditary, Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, Regina Hall for Support the Girls, Helena Howard for Madeline's Madeline, and Carey Mulligan for Wildlife.
Well, you already know who I'm giving it to. It goes to Hereditary all the way, but those are some interesting ones. Madeline's one. Oh, look, that one's interesting.
Yeah,
she did do a great job.
I'm glad that's like not a forgotten performance, you know. Although I do think a lot of it comes from the editing. The acting is really good in that too. My favorite in that category is Elsie Fisher, but I love Toni Collette there too. Male lead, your boy John Cho got nominated for Searching.
Let's go.
David
He's not
Diggs,
getting it though, but I love him.
David Diggs from Blind Spotting, Ethan Hawke from First Reformed, Christian Matthews from Socrates, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name, from Socrates, and Joaquin Phoenix from You Were Never Really Here. So really strong batch of nominees.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I love John Cho, but I'm gonna have to give it to. I think Ethan Hawke's to lose. But David Diggs, I think, is probably my personal favorite out of the bunch.
I was going to say the same thing.
Right? I think David Diggs would be like the second runner-up. And I love John Cho, but I think I would love to see David Diggs. But you saw First Reformed?
Yeah.
I don't get how it's not his. I'm not even like the biggest fan of the movie. I enjoyed it. I'm like, I don't see myself seeing it again. But this was a good flick.
Yeah, you're really good at it,
I don't see how he loses it. Yeah, you're very good at it, Ethan. That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Anything that you think should have gotten attention that didn't?
I mean, I'm struggling to think of much that didn't get in that could have. I know that, I mean, I liked American Animals, I think, a bit more than you even, and it got a Best Editing nomination, but that's it.
That's fair. That's fair, though.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a good nomination for it. I could see it getting a little bit more. I'm a little surprised that there's not some more acting love for If Beale Street Could Talk, but, you know, I think sometimes...
Dang, that's true. Hey, I'm on the Brian Tyrese Henry train 100%.
Yeah?
100%.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
I don't know what did it the other day. I was watching something, and it wasn't even when I was watching Atlanta. It just hit me the other day. I was like, nah, this man's it.
Yeah.
This man's it. And I remember you hyped up his performance in Beale Street,
mm-hmm.
and it could be because Alina had gone to the bathroom or something, and I was just like it was good. But I guess I was so infatuated in the two main characters, which is why I'm excited to see Beale Street again.
Right.
I was like, I mean, he did good in it. But you know, like when you start gaining respect from him, you're like, okay, no, I'm not going to blame you. Maybe it was me. I have to go back and see what your performance really held in there. This man's good.
I'll say this for his performance in Beale Street. I think especially once you know sort of what the movie is doing and where it's going, Brian Tyree Henry comes in and kind of just flips the movie on its head and makes it feel like a different thing.
Yeah, no, that man That man's gonna go places. I think the other one that's pretty interesting. You said We the Animals, which is one that I highly recommend.
That was nominated for Best First Feature as well as a few other awards.
Okay. Cameron Post.
Ooh, I didn't notice it.
Then that's one that I miss being on there. I would definitely recommend it. Nothing.
Nope.
Okay, then that's a shame. Cameron Post should have been on there.
Yeah, and there's also some love for like Can You Ever Forgive Me in screenplay and Sorry to Bother You in screenplay, Black Klansman for Best Supporting Male, but not in the bigger categories. John David Washington gets in for Monsters and Men in Best Supporting Male.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Okay.
And then in the documentary category, your favorite and my favorite, Won't You Be My Neighbor and Minding the Gap get in.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Mid-90s?
I don't think mid-90s got in, right? But I'm also not sure if it was eligible. Oh, actually, it got in for Best Editing. Look at that.
Interesting. That's my least favorite part of the movie.
I know
my least favorite part of the movie is editing.
Yeah, I mean, I know that also Roma and The Favorite both got nominated for foreign film or international film, so they weren't eligible.
Which
in
it is, I told
categories.
You. See, so if it's an international film there, I think we had a little bit of this discussion. Remember, we had a little bit of this discussion. Yeah. Now, you're right, because the rules do change between award ceremonies, but I said it was an international film, so I'm very curious how it plays at the Oscars. Because then there goes Cold War, and there goes a bunch of the other ones. Burning. France already screwed their chances with with what they did, but yeah, I'm telling you, it's an international film. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the awards, though. They usually are at least more fun to watch, even if necessarily the movies aren't. Are
they getting Once Them Faces for like the 5th time already?
Mulaney and Kroll? I hope so. I'm still enjoying it.
I know you love them, so.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Aquaman Twitter bots have been attacking Mary Poppins Returns, the upcoming Mary Poppins sequel. Several accounts were caught tweeting the same thing. Quote,
Venom?
I am the biggest Disney fan, but after watching an early screening of Mary Poppins Return, I don't know what to say. Easily the worst movie of the year. I expected so much more. What a disappointment. Definitely taking the kids to watch Aquaman instead. A little less convincing when you see that message coming from account after account after account after account. Art, yay or nay, Aquaman should be worried about Mary Poppins?
I mean, I would be concerned about this, but I just got out of a screening of Creed, and it really just hurt my children. I will be going to see Wreck-It Ralph this Thanksgiving, and first we had the Venom thing, right? Who started off? It was Gaga fans.
Lady
I just
Gaga,
saw Venom, and it was the Devil's movie. Go see A Star. It wasn't even like Go See A Star Is Born. It's better. It's I went to go see A Star Is Born, and my body was cleansed of all evil or something like that. So then the Venom fans said the same thing. They're like, I can't believe Lady Gaga screeched. Why didn't they edit that out of the movie? Like, it was just this back and forth, and most of them were bot accounts.
Right.
Right. They were actual fans, though. This is more of a bot. Like you're saying, this is
definitely a bot. I mean, at least it looks like it.
What is going on?
It's weird. I mean, like, you'd think that maybe these companies would
markets.
Be above, like, this sabotage kind of thing going on.
Do you think it's the company? Now, I would believe that, yes.
What, do you think it's, like, angry DC fans?
I think
Russians?
100% it's the DC fans or fans of anyone, you know.
Right.
But I wouldn't put it past the company doing something out there to make it seem they know the power of memes. They know the power of word of mouth, and maybe they do something to like, hey, can you make this spread or something like that in order to like, you know, have it blow up. But they're two different movies. It's two different markets. The people watching one, that doesn't even affect the other. If you were going to watch Mary Poppins, right? Dissing Aquaman makes absolutely no sense. Or dissing Aquaman. I don't know. They just don't correlate. And I think it's like the dumbest thing in the world because it's not doing anything but giving promotion to Aquaman for coming out that week or Mary Poppins if that's the one that you're against.
Right. Yeah, it's a strange situation to get your movie into and doing these like weird competitive games. I mean, maybe it's a thing where like any publicity is good publicity, but...
All right, so here's where it gets scary. The Birth of a Nation effect?
Right.
Because right now we're just doing these. Oh, I'm gonna hit them with fake bad reviews.
Right. If
So
you
what
start
happens
throwing
when
out
it's
like allegations or something.
Fake bad news. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Maybe this becomes a thing like in Oscar campaign season.
What happens when it starts getting very bad? Yeah, when you start trying to attack another. I don't know.
Apple is looking for more content to fill its upcoming streaming service, and they are turning to Studio A24 for the exclusive rights to several upcoming movies. Art, yay or nay? You like the Apple A24 team up?
I like it a lot. One, because the Apple service that comes with us already if you have Apple Music. But two, that it'd be great. A24 is building up a very nice collection, so to have them all there, that'd be pretty dope. They're gonna find a home somewhere. Apple's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that this doesn't affect the A24 brand, if that makes sense. Apple.
Why do you think so?
Well, so Apple has been doing this thing of saying they're trying to make very like wide-reaching shows, broadly appealing shows, not really getting into like R-rated type of entertainment. And I wouldn't want that to impact, the A24 horror movies that come out, because there are kind of like
they will.
There's kind of two A24s, right? There's the like secretly fun popcorn A24, and then there's the we're gonna trick you into seeing this art movie A24. And I like the we're gonna trick you into seeing this art movie A24. But I don't know if Apple will like that.
Yeah, no, there is. I don't think it will. I see this like the Criterion thing. When Criterion was on Hulu, right, for a bit.
Yes.
I see it just like that. I don't think it affected them to be like, hey, we had this deal going on. Make a Criterion collection of something of this that sways them. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think it's just going to be a partnership of somewhere to host these types of movies.
Yeah. So hopefully it will, because if we get access to all those A24 movies in one convenient spot, that's great by me. We are going to get to the interview section, where we respond to questions from the listeners and commenters and whoever's out there. So make sure to let us know if you have any questions of your own. We got a few questions from Jordan Bain kicking us off this week. First and foremost, which he's asked a couple times, Art, have you seen Patriot?
I have not, but I have heard incredible things about you watching Patriot so that I can learn about Patriot. I was about to see it. I see it's 2 seasons long. I have absolutely no idea what it is. So have you checked it out?
I got it in my queue. If we were going to take a little bit longer to start recording today, I was going to try and catch the first couple episodes, but I'll do it this week. We got Thanksgiving coming up. I got some time.
Have something to binge?
Yeah, we'll have some binging time ahead of us.
Yeah. So, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely have it on there.
Is there a filmmaker and actor you want to see work together, or maybe a director and a writer that you'd like to see work together?
Do you have one while I think about one?
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's maybe a little broad to think of it, but I still think about how Paul Thomas Anderson and Tiffany Haddish were flirting with an idea of doing something together. That sounds like it could be really fun. I've always thought Paul Thomas Anderson is one of our better comedic directors, and he just kind of hides his comedic side a lot. So maybe a team up with Tiffany Haddish would work out for that. I'm also really into William Jackson Harper. He plays Chidi on The Good Place. He had an episode of High Maintenance. He was in Patterson, the Jim Jarmusch movie. I think he's like a really great up-and-coming actor in need of like a good starring role. I could see him in kind of like a Wes Anderson type of movie. I'd love to see, Wes Anderson expand his palette a little bit too. So yeah, maybe those guys.
So the guy who does Archer and Bob's Burgers and that, I would love to see him, Ralph, whatever his name is. I would love to see him in a Wes Anderson movie.
H. John Benjamin,
yes. I would love to see his style. I feel like that would be so deadpan.
I can see that.
It would be crazy. But no, who I was thinking was Jake Gyllenhaal. And it was not a director, but I would love to see him in an interesting script. Maybe a Tarantino script, which then wouldn't be Tarantino. But I was more so thinking, your boy who just, Steve Jobs.
Fassbender?
Molly's Game.
Oh,
writer.
Sorkin.
I would be very interested to see Jake Gyllenhaal with a Sorkin script.
Yeah, man, that'd be really
So
cool.
if there's any pair, it would probably be that. The only other, and this isn't a specific one, is like you were saying, something so out there that you would never think of. Tiffany Haddish and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Right.
I want to. I love seeing actors who you're like, okay, this person maybe is not that good, or he's they've clearly pegged themselves to be this, and then have them get picked up by like a director. Like, have these two different worlds collide and make something like insanely good. I'm always up for that.
Yeah, that's the thing that I would be most excited for. You know, just something that you are totally not
surprised. So I can't even think of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that
like we talked about last week how Will Ferrell is doing a movie with Gus Van Sant. That sounds kind of cool to me.
That's
I wouldn't expect those two to do something, but
it's one of those things where you're like, y'all watch each other, y'all know each other.
Yeah.
So
you know, it's what a small world.
What is this, a crossover episode? So yeah, anything dealing with that I think is always very interesting, especially like think of it the first time that you saw Adam Sandler taking on more serious roles. Something that you don't expect them, because then I think that adds a whole nother element to it. Many times you have these really big actors or faces that you just know what to expect from them, right? Matt Damon appears in a space movie midway through. You know the purpose of that. It's because, okay, we don't know this character, but we all know Matt Damon. You know, some people don't like him that much anymore, but you're able to add something to him. You're going to see a movie because of that face. So to take a big actor that brings that draw, but then subverts your expectations, I think is really interesting.
That's, for me, one of the things I was really excited to see was Emma Stone in The Favorite, because she's somebody who I think is a really great comedic presence, and Yorgos Lanthimos has such a specific voice. I was very curious to see how she would fit into his style. So stuff like that too.
It's comedic though, right? Favorite's comedic.
Yes, favorite is comedic.
Okay.
So yeah, I was curious to see how that would fit together, and I think it's a very good pairing. So yeah, just a few of our thoughts on that. Also, which movies got us interested in filmmaking, and which ones did we connect with the most? I think we might have answered this question on a previous episode, or at least something near it. I've mentioned in the past. Actually, a lot of the movies that Jordan mentioned are movies that got me into filmmaking. Things like Punch Drunk Love, Memento, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I particularly, because the way that Memento and Eternal Sunshine are very interestingly constructed, that and like The Usual Suspects got me very much into the idea of like, oh, so movies are crafted and they're not just like stories you tell from start to beginning.
Same thing for me. That was I had the Blockbuster mentor. I had my Mr. Miyagi at the Blockbuster who said, stop going out the outskirts for the new movies. Go in there for the 5-day rentals. And he recommended me all that stuff. I remember when watching Shawshank. The ones that did it for me was Memento as well, when I realized that you can actually tell a story in different ways, and I thought that to be super interesting. For Shawshank, it was watching the whole movie and realizing there was no filler. It was every scene needed a purpose. So that got me so infatuated with the behind the scenes. Another one that I'm staring at right now is 12 Angry Men. There's something about that movie. When I saw 12 Angry Men and I realized, because everyone, I believe, almost has that stigma, and now it's become sort of, I know there's a question floating around, do the millennials not like older cinema? And the thing is, some don't. So how do you convince them? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they see black and white movies, it's many times they're seeing boring black and white movies. So what's happened is that they just associate them with being boring. Oh, they're not the same as they are now. They're probably not as fast-paced or whatever it is that they don't want to watch. And sometimes they just don't favor them. And when I saw 12 Angry Men, I was like, bro, black, white, have it be an audiobook. If it's a good story, you can do something crazy with it. 12 Angry Men is one of the best movies of all time. And at that point, that's when I just got infatuated with all of it. And as you were saying, I think that it comes in waves. There's the stuff that first brings you into it. And then a Cloverfield hits you and you go, oh, there's this whole aspect of marketing a movie.
Right.
And then Whiplash comes in and you're like, what the heck? This really relates to me. And then there's the one from this year with Searching, for me personally. And I think that there's like hopefully one that comes every other year that just invigorates your love of movies again. I would say Mad Max did that for a lot of people when you're like, wait, blockbusters don't have to be crazy dumb, or they could be this insane. So
that's a good point about some of the new movies that kind of just like revitalize your energy and love for film. I think in recent years, films like Swiss Army Man and Sorry to Bother You, even though they weren't necessarily like my favorite movies of the years in which I saw them, they're both just so creative in their filmmaking and in the types of stuff they're attempting that it's the kind of movie that makes me fall in love with the medium again. And then we got one last viewer question from Vincenzo, who asked us if we're going to do another Netflix bracket soon since they've been dropping so much fire. I don't think so.
What if we do one for 2018? Best of Netflix 2018.
We could do that.
That might be good.
2018 Netflix bracket, because it's been a good year, and then because
we
the
could
previous
split it.
Netflix bracket, it was like, well, this one has 4 seasons, but this only has one great season.
But we could judge the stuff from 2018. That actually might be a good one. It's almost like a studio bracket, except more people would have access to Netflix ones, and we can split it this way. TV versus movies. That way, it's technically 3 brackets in one. It's the TV bracket, and then we'll see what wins the TV, what wins the movies, and then pit those two against each other to see what was the best product overall.
All right, cool. So maybe we're getting a 2018 Netflix bracket after all.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, you got to stay tuned. We will get to that maybe on an upcoming topic of the
End
week.
Of the year.
Or let us know any other brackets or topic.
And we could just do a whole January thing.
Yeah. I mean, we got a whole lot of
end of the year.
It's getting to the end of the year. We got to get some lists out there. I know I've got my top 10 TV, top 10 movies, top 10 scenes lists all brewing. So let us know if there's anything you want to see like that on future shows. We're going to move on to our topic of the week. And this week's topic is in light of the recent release of Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. There's a debate brewing amongst fans about authorial intent versus audience interpretation. Given some of the revelations in the Harry Potter plot for the most recent Fantastic Beasts movie, there are many audiences who are choosing not to believe or just outright rejecting the new revelations that J.K. Rowling, the writer of the original Harry Potter books, put into this new movie. It brings up this idea, though, of who really owns a property. We've been seeing different versions of this argument taking place, whether it's the "not my Skywalker" argument from the release of The Last Jedi, whether it's arguments over Bert and Ernie and whether or not they are gay or not sexual at all. But audiences end up taking characters, taking stories, and grabbing some hold of them and interpreting them in a way that sometimes conflicts with the way that the author intended. So Art, let me start with this. Do you think that it matters who is interpreting the art, or is there one right interpretation to art?
No. I think that the author who's telling the story has the responsibility and the authority to tell the story that they are making their way.
Right.
They should not pander to the audience. There is a great interview with Bo Burnham, and he's done it on several ones, but I think one where he really highlights it a lot is on his interview with H3H3, where he says a lot of the creative people on YouTube, because they're talking about the medium, is very catered to their audience. So I'm going to plug Cam here again, because that was a huge part of Cam and why I liked it on Netflix, is the fact that when you start catering to the audience so much and their theories and what they want to see and what really is just fan service, right? What you end up doing is becoming not an artist anymore. You are not creating the story that best fits the universe that you yourself created or that the universe calls for. What you're doing is just wanting to give it to fans. And to be completely honest, if the fans love something, then let the person who created what you love continue to do it. That said, I believe that they have the responsibility and authority as an artist to continue creating what they have established. They do not have the authority to tell somebody how they want to interpret it. The same way you can't tell somebody, so I made a really, really good story and I worked hard on it. Okay, yeah, so I paid for it. It's still trash. You are not, no, you cannot tell somebody that they can like or whatever, whether they like or don't like your movie. You also can't tell them how they're supposed to interpret it, what they're supposed to bring into the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem comes in.
Right. It's this thing that when you're an audience member, you can't control where the story goes. You can't control what happens to the characters, but you do feel something for these characters. And sometimes the things that you feel aren't necessarily all on screen. I know for me, we mentioned Punch Drunk Love earlier, that there's just a couple little tics that Adam Sandler's character has that I have in my own life. And I don't think I'm similar to Adam Sandler's character like at all in that movie. I hope I'm not, at least.
But it hits you when you're watching it.
Right.
And I'm watching it and I don't feel that for those specific moments. So does that mean that yours is invalid?
No, yeah, and that's the kind of thing that for me as someone who, if there's a tick that I have that isn't necessarily been depicted, or I've never heard anybody else talk about that, it felt like I was being seen. It was a comforting moment for me, something that stuck with me and meant a lot to me in my early film watching experience. But it doesn't necessarily make me think like I own the character of Barry Egan, and that if he does something that I wouldn't do, then he's wrong or the author is wrong. You know, if they're coming out with a sequel to Punch Drunk Love and he does a bunch of stuff that I find weird, like that's all, you know, it's the person who created it doing it for some reason. It's not going to change how the original stuff made me feel. So I feel like that's sort of where you have to kind of leave it alone. If you like something enough to have that connection to it, you should allow the person who created it to guide that creativity in a way that is in line with what they were thinking or how they started the project. Because they, you know, if you like what they did, hopefully you'll like more of what they did.
If you're patient with it when it's a 5-story arc. But I think this goes along with a conversation that you and I have had for the longest time about how we feel about remakes. There's always the original that's still there.
Yeah.
And how we were also talking about last week about all these other adaptations that are going to come out of Breaking Bad being a movie, Walking Dead being a movie, a lot of things that, you know, we enjoy. And you're right. That I think what people forget is just because, let's say, Vince Gilligan comes out and he makes these movies for Breaking Bad, that doesn't mean they have to be just as good.
Right.
Maybe they're terrible. Right? And we don't like them. But that doesn't make his story that he had in mind invalid. Maybe we just don't like it. I think that's where the expectations come into play. Like you said, where we go into a movie, especially when something becomes a franchise, that you start expecting and wanting certain things, and if you don't get those things, then you come out disappointed when it was never supposed to be that at all. When it was never supposed to go that way. And I think that's where you then get that infatuation from fans that want, they just want to go in and see what they want to see, and they don't actually want to be challenged on a certain thing. Now, when that comes to the J.K. Rowling type of thing, is that I feel a lot of people think J.K. is out to diminish what other people's thoughts are, especially when it comes out to the new Revelations, which I don't want to spoil. I don't know if you've seen it, the newest one.
I haven't, but I also don't care. So
okay, so you don't really care, but I don't want to spoil it for those who have seen it, even though it's going to be all over the place. The big revelation, especially towards the end, certain characters that come in. You know, there's always the idea of fan service isn't a bad thing, only when it, one, is blatantly obvious that that's what you're using to bring people in, and then the rest of it is terrible, or you use fan service and it kind of contradicts your story. A certain character will appear who, but you told us that, no, they can't be there.
Right.
But I'm also one to say, if this is a 5-story arc, I'm going to wait to see what you have to offer. How are you going to work it out?
Yeah, it's one thing for when the character is kind of like reinterpreted in a way. It's another thing when a character appears in an era which conflicts with the year in which they were supposed to be born.
Yeah, it's still supposed to be within the same timeline. This is a prequel. Yeah. We're leading up to it, so yeah.
Right, we're talking about, because like there's a difference between a change in character or an artistic interpretation and just logic flaws.
When you've been carefully doing things like this, right? But even moving away from the JK thing, it's the interpretation part of it. I will always bring up this. I love the ending to Whiplash. I think it's like one of the most motivational things of like, don't give up. It doesn't matter. The whole point of it is being that when you're at the end, greats don't quit, but there is a limit for those who are just good enough, and he doesn't quit. And I think it's like, whenever I'm in a position like that, I'm not gonna don't let anyone ever abuse you, but get to that point where you're not gonna let anyone stop you. And then I hear the interviews with him, and he's like, that's not motivational at all. No, I see him like 5 years from now becoming a drug addict and a hobo on the street and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, you're wrong. No, but you know what I mean? He doesn't dismiss everybody else's claims, and
absolutely, everybody's going to have their own interpretation.
You get your own interpretation and how you feel about it.
And not to
if a
mention,
director ever tells you no, that's wrong, then yeah.
Right, and also, you know, just speaking about Whiplash specifically, you're seeing that final scene take place from a few different perspectives, and I feel like you are sort of giving Andrew's perspective on the end of that movie, whereas Damien Chazelle is giving Andrew's father perspective on the end of that movie.
Yeah, because he does give the look like this is terrible.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how to read a movie, but then that's the point. So then I think that opens up an even better discussion. That idea that the artist, the filmmaker, should not explain their own movie.
So
what do you think?
I kind of push back against that just because I feel like sometimes it's worth engaging with a piece of art and that finding out the intent behind it can reveal something new. I don't think I need like every filmmaker to explain everything they've done, but I enjoy hearing it from the mouth of the creator, particularly because I feel like that doesn't necessarily cancel out my interpretation of the material. You know, thinking about Mother, which came out last year already.
Yeah.
You know, that's a movie that Darren Aronofsky has kind of explicitly talked about what many of the elements of that movie are about, but he hasn't said anything about how it reflects like his life, his career, his marriage.
Those connections that some people start seeing, yeah.
So, you know, there's always stuff like that you can add in yourself that doesn't go away just because the author of the piece said, no, this is what I was thinking.
Similarly, yeah, as someone who loves, you know, doing breakdown spoilers, explanation videos, having the person or a person on set say something, I love that because whenever I interpret something, I was like, this is clearly what this means. No, you're an idiot. Okay, you maybe do it. And having that, like, person who made the project tell you, yeah, so it's about a metaphor for marriage or cancer or something, is so much easier whenever you have to deal with the people who may not want to see the clear evidence that's there. That even being said, I agree. A director never should have to explain their film or what they mean, because that was the point of them showing it to you in the movie. They're showing it to you in the movie. They said, hey, I can tell you this, or I can express it in this piece of art. Hey, what do you have to say about it? I already showed it to you. You just saw it in the movie. What more can I expand to you? I mean, even as someone who makes videos, when they're like, well, what did you think of it? It's already in the video. It's
like if you didn't get it from this, you're probably not going to get it.
Right.
And maybe that is a sign of a poor filmmaker if you don't get it. But
no. Okay, wait, no. I agree with you. I hate when people also say that too. If The Shining needs to be explained, then it doesn't mean it's a good movie. No.
Yes.
It's okay to not get a movie the first time or second time that you see it. That doesn't make it a bad movie. If it's incoherent, then sure. What I'm saying is that it's not the director doesn't have to explain it because he already put everything that he wanted to show you within there. If he decides to, sure. But I understand why they sometimes go so cryptic to the point of being like, I don't want to explain anything. It's up to interpretation. I've fallen on the side that I was with an interview for Under the Skin, and I believe that man was just putting stuff on the screen. Some people like that. You know, some people are okay with, you know, with the idea of, you know, let your own interpretation. But, you know, that it follows thing. Right, but your interpretation, it ain't even following. It's on the roof. The man did. I'm not gonna get into my under the skin talk of things that he didn't even know were in his own movie during that Q&A. But what I'm getting at is that idea of not wanting to say anything about your own movie because you worry that this topic comes up. Am I dismissing someone other's interpretations? Absolutely not. Every time they say it's open to interpretation, you're 100% correct. Everyone's about yeah. So what's yours? Let me know yours a little bit. I understand people wanting that 100%. But Viola Davis had just said this, and I covered this in my Widows video. It is not the responsibility of Steve McQueen to put it in the movie and go, look at this, an interracial couple. It's the responsibility of the critic and the audience to have that discussion. That is why I've always loved making explained videos. That is why you and I have a podcast. It's to discuss these things and I guess explain, break down, have the discussion with other people about that.
Right.
Sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes
it's so much more interesting to engage with the material and try and piece it together and see, like, well, what do you think? What did you get from that? Why did you get something that I didn't get from it? You know, I think a lot of times that people tend to look when they haven't done a lot of reading, of criticism, or of commentary. They want to go into it and see their own worldview reflected, right? That's why you get all these commenters who are like, oh, this is the worst review ever, when it's just something that didn't agree with them. As you sort of engage with culture commentary a little more, what's exciting is to see all the different ways in which culture impacts us differently, and all the different perspectives that we don't see. You know, I know for me, my experience watching 8th Grade is going to be different than somebody else's who doesn't necessarily suffer from anxiety and doesn't really identify when she's doing some of these nervous habits, doesn't necessarily identify with them in the same way. You know, we all are going to experience them these movies differently. And
We've had that discussion.
I think that's what's great, is that, you know, we all bring our own experience, and it changes the movies a little bit.
So Bert and Ernie.
Yeah,
when it comes out that people have that version of what Bert and Ernie is to them, and the creator comes out and he says, no, that's not the way I intended them, and then people get mad at him. I think that's an interesting scenario, because what happens there is, who's at fault for the anger here? Is it the fans who wanted them to be something, or is it the creator for dismissing? So is he dismissing, though?
I think the issue is a little bit, it's obviously really nuanced, so it's kind of hard to kind of just say it's all one thing or the other. Because when we're talking about Bert and Ernie, we're talking, you know, and the idea that they have a homosexual relationship, we're talking about the fact that there hasn't been a lot of gay representation on TV, at least in years past. There was minimal or none, and it became this kind of, you know, one little thing that people could cling to or identify with. So
is it bad for him to come out and say that wasn't my intent?
I don't think it's bad for him to come out and say that's not his intent. You know, I think it's just, I don't remember exactly what the creator had said about it.
The tone was a little on the, like, I created him, I would know. And then people were like,
yeah, but it's as long as you're not being like, everybody else is wrong and they are, you know, grossly misinterpreting this, you know, that doesn't necessarily...
Yes, yeah. If you were to say something like that, then it's like a complete nope.
Right.
I mean, there's that idea of... Now You See It made a great video on that, about overanalyzing movies.
Yeah.
Recommend that video.
To me, the Bert and Ernie thing actually reminds me a lot of, like, shipping culture on Tumblr and stuff. Like, people who ship
they get
certain
overly
characters.
aggressive on something, and then they create this whole what is fan fiction, and no one's stopping you from doing that, but you can't demand the artist who didn't create that to be that and think that they're denying you.
Right, just because, like, a couple you think, like, Jeff and Annie on Community exchange a couple cute looks at each other doesn't mean that you should then yell at Dan Harmon to make that part of the plot.
One of the biggest things right now with Captain America and Bucky.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I think that's fine that sort of, like, homosexual, like, fan fiction thing is going on. And I think it's subtextually there totally. But I think it's fine for them to not actually be that, and for fans to continue to pursue
like
that idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. It's learning to divide that. Yeah, I think the moment fan fiction goes into stories, then you have a bigger problem than a filmmaker, a producer, a director, a writer just trying to cater to somebody else's thing, because then you get the kissing booth.
Exactly.
That's what you get. So.
Yeah. So let us know what you think about authorial intent versus audience interpretation. Who's right? Who has a right to be right? And can somebody even be wrong when it comes to how you interpret a character? We are going to move on to the new to see, where we talk about what's new in theaters, to streaming, and on VOD, starting with November 21st in theaters, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Creed 2, and Robin Hood. Art, did you just say that you saw Creed 2?
No, I was lying. I was making a joke about how, like, the Venom people and the Mary Poppins people I haven't seen. I have both of them tomorrow, as of this recording, which is Monday. So on Tuesday I'll be watching Creed, and I'll be watching Wreck-It Ralph 2. Yeah,
so head over to social media. I'm sure Art will have some kind of reaction to both of those movies by that. Excuse me. Then also on November 23rd, Green Book expands. Art likes that movie.
I do like it a lot.
The Favorite opens in limited release. I loved that movie. Shoplifters opens in limited release.
Hey, let's go. I've been waiting for that one.
Becoming Asteroid opens in limited release, and The World Before Your Feet opens in limited release.
Okay.
For people who have the chance, Green Book or Shoplifters?
I haven't seen Shoplifters. That's the thing. That's one that I've been missing. I missed it at TIFF. I missed it at SIFT, the Chicago one. So now that it's out, I'm excited because I was worried. I was like, man, I might not be able to catch this one.
There we go. So that is going to be available soon. New to streaming, Netflix on November 22nd, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and more Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. On HBO Now on November 24th, Tomb Raider, the new one with Alicia Vikander. You weren't a fan of it, I believe.
I thought it was okay. I thought she was fantastic. It felt like a video game.
And then on November 26th, The Truth About Killer Robots. I don't know what that is. I love that title. Amazon and Hulu both get Downsizing on November 24th, the new Alexander Payne film, which features our new fave, Hong Chow.
Go watch her in other things. not this one.
New to VOD on November 27th, The Little Stranger, Madhouse Mecca, and Searching.
Let's go. Searching is that everyone's been telling me like, yo, it's out on digital. How does it? Does it look better? I was like, yeah, you can pause this up, you can finally find it, but I haven't gotten it on Searching on digital yet because I'm gonna buy it for Black Friday. So
awesome. So those are the new to see. Art, what is your pick for the week?
My pick for the week is going to be Cam on Netflix. The same recommendations that I have had out in theaters. I haven't seen Creed or Wreck-It Ralph yet for the big Thanksgiving weekend, but I have been recommending Green Book. If it expands and you have a whole family, maybe not everybody wants to see Wreck-It Ralph. Maybe you have the people who don't want the animations. I'm probably going to end up recommending both of those as well, but I know for a fact I think Green Book is the perfect movie for anybody to go watch,
nice.
In my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, that's over the Thanksgiving holiday. That seems like a good take the whole family to it. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Absolutely. I'm going to recommend the Ballad of Buster Scruggs once again, now that it's out on Netflix. Make sure you check that one out. It's fun. It's pretty breezy, especially because it's segmented into chapters. It's I think it's easier to watch, so you can check that out. But if you're in the New York area, LA area, I don't know how limited the favorites release is, but if it's around you, it's a new Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
I'm going to make it around me.
We're talking Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, Emma Stone, Nick Holt, all hilarious in this movie. I've described it before as a period piece for people who hate period pieces. It takes the whole fancy, uptight period piece setting and kind of subverts it, where all the men are covered in makeup and wearing big fluffy gowns, and all the women have power and are manipulating things behind the scenes. I loved it. Make sure you check that one out. And if you don't want to go out to the theaters, I mentioned earlier, but Manifesto is pretty cool. It's kind of easy to watch on Amazon Prime. I think it's easier to watch it at home than in a theater, so maybe give that one a chance if you are a fan of Cate Blanchett.
Turn it on different TVs, and then just walk around your house and turn your house into an art exhibit. Do that.
Exactly. Those are our picks for the week, and that's all for this week's show. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by going to Twitter @ZShevich or Instagram and Letterboxd, also @ZShevich. And make sure you check out, I just uploaded a friend's music video, a new music video, Gianna Alessi, Plan of Attack. We'll leave a link to it down below. Something new I directed. I'm pretty proud of it. We did this on the set of the same location where they filmed The Path on Hulu. So if you're a fan of that show, you might recognize some stuff. I don't know. But hopefully y'all
complete opposite setting.
Complete opposite.
Tone.
Yeah, no, this is fun.
On the Hulu show.
This is like a fun summer bop, poppy. So hopefully y'all like that. Yeah. Warm up your spirits a little bit. Let me know if you can check that out by leaving a comment, please. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me at The A to Z Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, of course, YouTube. Like I said, Let Me Explain's about to pass A to Z. So shout out to that kid over there, that cartoon, just hustling, doing his thing over there. But of course, you could always find us here, and you will be seeing very interesting Intercut episodes coming very soon.
Yes, we'll be doing a lot of cool stuff here on the Intercut podcast. You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast with iTunes, with SoundCloud, with whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IntercutPod, where you can catch our bright, smiling faces as we break down the latest happenings in the entertainment industry for all of you. Find new episodes of Intercut every Thursday on our channel and on our podcast feed. Please leave us a comment, like the video, consider heading over to iTunes and leaving us a 5-star review. Really helps for people to catch our show and expand our audience, which, you know, it's a good thing for us. And if it's good for us, it's good for you, the fans. Also, like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter pages. All of them are at IntercutPod for updates throughout the week from me and from Art, as well as some of our other guests here on the show. You'll catch Art's opinions on the movies he's seeing, me linking to that music video, all the good stuff using social media. But that's all for this week's show. Thanks again for tuning in. And remember, I didn't write down an outro. Fuck.
That's the best one you've done in the past 45 episodes. Just leave it like that. Leave it like that. I like that.
I got to the end and I realized it's blank.
I like it.